describe them. In this shipping orders lesson, I'll cover constructs for managing pickwaves. After you complete this lesson, you'll be able to describe the pickwave process and explain the set of activities related to pick release. You'll also be able to demonstrate how pickwaves release rules work and define release sequence rules. In addition, you'll learn how to create picking rules, assign those rules, and choose a pick slip grouping rule. Finally, you'll be able to describe how job sets are used. Our first topic covers an overview of managing pickwaves. Pick release identifies shipment lines that are eligible and meet your release criteria, and then it releases them out and creates movement request. The movement request transaction creates the reservation and determines the source subinventory in inventory. Oracle Shipping then generates pick slips and allocates the specific picking details for each line, such as the locator, lot, or serial number. In the inventory management work area, you can monitor the progress of a pickwave after it has been created and released for picking. The screenshot on the slide shows the infolets on the inventory management landing page that help you track that progress. You might use pickwaves in a few common situations. One example is when you need to fulfill a specific customer requirement. If a customer has special quality expectations, you can create a pickwave so that the warehouse can apply extra checks or follow specific shipping procedures. Another example is transportation optimization. If you have several customers in the same region, you can group their shipment lines into a single pickwave and ship them together using a common carrier. A third example is managing back orders. If you want to reduce shipping delays, you can create a pickwave that targets backordered lines and then ships them using an expedited shipping method. You can decide how many steps you want to include in your pick release flow. The process typically starts with pick release, then moves to pick confirmation, which can be done automatically or manually. The final step is ship confirmation. A pickwave includes a release rule that determines which shipment lines are eligible for pick release. It also includes release criteria, which are the shipment attributes that you want to evaluate, and it includes the processing and fulfillment options that control how the wave runs. Order management evaluates shipment lines against the pickwave's rules, criteria, and options. You can release the pickwave immediately, or you can schedule it to run later. Next, we'll look at movement request. A movement request is a request to move material from a source subinventory to a staging location. During pick release, the system creates movement requests in the background for shipment lines and any required subinventory transfers. The pick itself includes the set of lines that must be picked from the source subinventory. Before lines can be released, they need to be allocated. During allocation, the inventory picking engine adds transaction details to each line and places a high-level reservation on the material. This high-level reservation confirms that inventory is available and effectively guarantees the quantity you need. When you create a pickwave, order management creates this high-level reservation as long as enough inventory is on hand. A staging location is the destination subinventory where picked material is deposited. Once material is staged, it's ready for the next step, which is ship confirmation. Each organization must set up at least one staging subinventory, and it's typically located near the shipping dock. Staging subinventories must be reservable. Also, within a pickwave, all lines use the same destination staging subinventory. Continuing, let's move on to a discussion about pickwave release rules. Pickwave release rules let you define the criteria used to select shipment lines for pick release, and they also control the picking operations that are performed on those lines. These rules give you a one-time setup approach for pick release, so you can run pick release repeatedly using the same parameters. You can also create multiple release rules, each with its own set of pick release settings, so different scenarios can use different criteria. You must define a release rule if you plan to run pick release as a scheduled process, or if you use the automatic pick, pack, and ship features. When you set up a pickwave release rule, you typically start with demand selection criteria. For example, you can select demand based on the ship from organization, the subinventory, or the current release status. The graphic on the slide also introduces release sequence rules and shows how they relate to inventory allocation. The next type of rules we'll discuss are release sequence rules. Release sequence rules control the order in which eligible picking lines are allocated in inventory during pick release. You decide which attributes to use to sequence the release, and then the system allocates materials in that order. You can sequence picking lines by initial ship date, outstanding invoice value, sales order number, scheduling ship date, or shipment priority. If you set a priority for sales order number, you can also prioritize outstanding invoice value. For each attribute you use, you assign a priority from 1 to 5, where 1 is the highest. You also specify whether the values are evaluated in ascending or descending order. For example, you may set shipment priority as priority 1 in ascending order and schedule date as priority 2 in ascending order. With that setup, the system allocates material first to the lines with the highest shipment priority and then to the lines with the earliest schedule dates. You can also use release sequence rules to control the order in which shipment lines are sent to external execution systems. Next, we'll segue into picking rules. A picking rule is a set of criteria that defines the priorities used to pick items from finished good inventory for shipment. You define picking rules in Oracle Inventory Management. When Pick Release creates movement request, inventory uses the assigned picking rule to locate the material needed for each movement request line. The rule helps determine the best source details, such as subinventory, locator, lot, or revision, so that enough material can be transferred to the staging location for shipping. You can configure picking rules to control what material is eligible and the order it should be picked. You can restrict picking based on shelf life days, whether a single demand can allocate across multiple lots, whether partial picking is allowed, and whether customer specification matching is required. You can also define sort criteria, such as picking by lot using first in, first out, or first expired, first out, and sorting lots, locators, revisions, and subinventories in ascending or descending order. Receipt dates and effective dates can also be part of the sort. At the item level, you select the picking rule that controls the pick sequence for revisions, lots, subinventories, and locators. Oracle Shipping sends requests to Inventory Management, and inventory applies in the sequence defined in the picking rule assignment window before generating pick slips. After you create a picking rule, you use the picking rule assignments page to assign it to an inventory organization. You select the organization, enter a sequence number, and choose the picking rule. You can also control whether the assignment is active or inactive. You can analyze by selecting a date type, such as month, a week, or a specific date range. You can also refine how inventory is allocated by using qualifiers such as customer, carrier, unit measured class, source or destination subinventory, who created the movement request, item type or category, ABSC assignment group and class, and transaction attributes like source type, transaction type, or action reason. For example, if you create a rule that allocates lots using first in, first out, you can have a specific customer so the material is always picked using first in, first out. As another example, if you create a rule that sorts by lot number in ascending order and then by locator in ascending order, you can assign it to a specific item. With that setup, the system allocates the lowest lot number from the lowest locator where that item is available. Our final topic covers pick slip grouping rules. Pick slip grouping rules let you know shipment lines are grouped onto a pick slip. For example, if you choose shipment as the grouping criterion, then all shipment lines for the same shipment print together on one pick slip. You define these rules in the pick slip grouping rules window. You can group pick rules by attributes such as order number, customer, ship to location, carrier, trip stop, delivery, and shipping. You can also group by source or destination subinventory, source or destination locator, and by item or item revision. If you use projects, you can group by project and task as well. If Oracle Fusion Cloud Warehouse Management is installed, you also have additional grouping options. In that case, you can also group by job or schedule, department, and push or pull. For added convenience and efficiency, you can group shipping documents into a set called a shipping document job set, and then use that set to generate the required shipping documents automatically during the pick release process. This lesson includes a student practice for creating a pick wave for a single order. In this lesson, you learned how the pick wave process works and what set of activities support pick release. You also learned how to use pick wave release rules and